There are a lot of individuals out there who are very dissatisfied with the world. They have no hope or sense of reason to enjoy life. They see all the problems in the world, whether it be political, economics, or whatever social issue. And they've been very, very, very pessimistic about the world as a result of this. They have almost no sense of this optimism for the future. So if you don't mind, I'm going to quickly say a little bit of a story that happened to me this past week.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So I was working at my part-time job, and one of my coworkers, who's around my age, we were talking about the country and what we wanted to do in the future. And, of course, I have my things that I wanted to do. But his answer was a lot more trying to go with the flow is basically the best way to summarize it. And the main reason for that is because he basically said that he was very, very pessimistic. He looked at the state of the country as it is right now, where it almost seems like it's going. Doesn't like the current leadership, doesn't like a lot of the very common problems that we see in our society, and he almost kind of was trying to throw the towel in. Just very, 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 very pessimistic. And it kind of got me thinking about this topic, and how we see pessimism become more commonplace because people, they see what the world is going to, and they have no optimistic outlook on life, and they almost don't even want to try do anything about it. So to kind of ask some questions about this, are these individuals right to believe that there's nothing hopeful to look forward to in the future? Are they in the right for being pessimistic given what's going on in the world?
Well, let me think about this proper way. First of all, the pessimism, it's being pessimistic about something that is the result of something, right? It's a consequence from something, right?
Right.
It's not like when a person decides to be pessimistic. You just become pessimistic because of something, either the point of view, thinking, decision making, things the person see around and so on. Now, is it correct? Well, again, as a consequence, when you really think about it, just comparing, our world, with the world 50 years ago, you look at, from the materialistic perspective, is very, interesting because people have everything nowadays, or almost everything,
Right.
what they were dreaming about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, back, again, 1970s, even later, but 1970s and 60s and so on, people were dreaming about, I'm going to have my own house, having my own car. I'm going to have, all these, cool toys at home. And I'm not even talking about it now about computers and cell phones and so on, because that was kind of even beyond imagination at that time, right?
Right. But at the same time... Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So people that got all this stuff, I got to emphasize that stuff. And majority of people are not happy. That is not, I'm not, quoting something, from the newspaper or from magazines, but just that's a perspective of what I see, on an everyday basis with the people around. The people you meet at work, people you meet at the school, people you meet at a gas station, people you see at the stores and so on. Generally, people are very, very unhappy. So, obviously, the focus on the stuff not going to make people happy, not going to make them optimistic.
Right. Well,
So,
but, I mean, you mentioned about like people having houses and, well, I mean, also that's kind of both true and also untrue. Maybe they have a place to live. They're not all, we technically don't have as many homeless people, or like the percentage of people that are homeless. But at the same time, there's a lot, there's a housing crisis, right? So a lot of people can't even afford a home, right? So maybe they have a place to live, but it's just like an apartment, or if they do have a house, they're saddled with so much debt, so many these mortgages, or they're trying to do refinancing. So,
yeah, that's correct. But I noticed this kind of behavior with the people a long time ago, not just now. We got housing crisis, and economy is down, and we are living in a times when it's kind of hard to pay for certain things. I don't mean just now. I mean like generally, like let's say like last 5-10 years, something like that. People got a very pessimistic point of view, because, and again, I believe so is because of the focus of most of the people. They're focusing on the things which doesn't bring them happiness. I mean, honestly, I believe that they will be unhappy no matter how much stuff, how much money they're gonna have.
right.
Obviously, our wealthy elite, they dealing with the pessimism every day. I mean, look how many of them.
And they have literally everything that they could ask for, including power, right?
Yeah, you read pretty much every couple of months. You see, some movie star or some singer or somebody, pretty much well off to do, committed suicide, or or got hooked up on drugs or alcohol or whatever.
Right.
So I think that's again what people are focusing on. And no matter how much stuff you're gonna have, that's not gonna give you, the peace in your heart.
Yeah.
It will not. It might gonna give you temporary something, like you got a present, right? Or I don't know. It's imaginary, right? Like for example, you're gonna get a new car as a gift, right? You're not gonna be happy about a new car for a few weeks, but then eventually it's gonna evaporate.
Right.
It's just the thing. Talk about it before. Physical thing, right? Not give you something emotional permanently, right? There's the spiritual things, and there are the physical things. You're looking for the spiritual thing, which one of them is the happiness, or let's call it a peace in the heart. You're not gonna get it from the physical thing. It's not gonna happen. That happiness, that peace inside, that's pretty much, it's kind of like where your soul, your heart is at present. It's got nothing to do with the rest of the stuff, around. I mean, obviously, people are happy, in the past, and they had almost nothing. Almost nothing. They were still very, very happy. People are in prison, for example, for because they were, thrown there by some oppressive regime or oppressive government. And they were happy in that prison. They had peace in mind because they were doing something right.
Yeah.
So that's why the people, I think, are pessimistic, because no matter what, they still don't have the peace in their heart.
Yeah.
If you don't have peace in your heart, as a consequence, you are very pessimistic. That's from my own life. So the question then is how to bring the peace in your heart inside you.
Right. That was kind of going to be my next question. How does one stay? I wrote it as, how does somebody stay positive and motivated to do good when times are hard? But that kind of, I guess, builds also of what you just asked right now.
Well, I read about saints from the past, about holy people from the past who were, I would say correctly, who were, oppressed. Say, for example, in the Roman Empire, first Christians, or, or so on, right? Or people, who were really struggling because they were trying to do the right thing, and,
right.
And it always comes to Christianity. Your soul wants to be with God, right? It's one of the things which is everlasting, right?
Right.
Created by God, given to you freely. And one day, at the point of the death, that soul, that everlasting soul, wants to be back with the God. Closer get to the God, more the soul is going to be in peace.
Yeah.
So take it to yourself, right? Your own soul. You have your own soul. God gave it to you at the birth. And God wants to be back with you again. That soul wants to be back with the God again. The further that soul going to get away from the God, even it seems like, that guy's living, or that woman is living a pretty nice life. Look at that, successful, right? It's a doctor or engineer or making all kind of money, and got a huge house and going on vacation every couple months and a great car, and so on. Well, but if that person, a particular person, is walking away from the God because of that particular lifestyle, the person is going to be very, very unhappy. It's going to be very, very empty inside.
Those people who are very, very materialistic minded, they tend to be very, very unhappy. They tend to almost feel like they live their life without really much of a purpose.
So let's take it back, to our present society. But there is no question that at least last 50 years, if not longer, been slowly but steadily walking away the God, from Jesus Christ, from our faith. From being the most important thing of your God, most of all. Put God on third, fourth, fifth place, after the family and the work and my fun and so on. Then there is a God maybe somewhere there. And by doing that, we become very, very unhappy people. We even didn't realize it, but we did. Yeah. Again, after all, you look at, people who are, for example, living in monastery, or religious monks or religious sisters who are truly living that particular religious life, not, these, fake monks and so on, but they're really living really for the God, and they are unbelievably happy.
Right. They don't even seem bothered by the world's problems, economy or politics.
Exactly.
You ask them about it, and it's almost kind of like they've been living under a rock, because it just doesn't bother them. It doesn't affect them.
Correct. So that is that is the answer for that. Put God on a first place, because that's where God belongs to.
Mm-hmm.
After all, he gave his only son, Jesus Christ, for us. I mean, what parent would, give up his own child for somebody else? But
Right.
God did it, right? That shows a lot of love for us.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that God really wants to be with us, wants to have your soul one day be with him. Therefore, we got to do it back to him as well. We got to put God on the first place in our life and live according to his directions. And they are very, very simple. After all, again, even a simple fisherman, right, could understand it back 2,000 years ago. So why not us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just got to have the will to do it. If you're going to do that and live according to God's directions, we're going to be truly happy. I'm not saying that give up your life and give up your work and become a religious, monk or religious sister. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But just the priorities. The God is at the top. Everything else is below that.
Mm-hmm.
Live according to this. If you don't know, if the person doesn't know what God is expecting, read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Meditate about God. Pray. Go to the church. And God will talk to you. That's the other thing. Like the people say, God doesn't talk to me. Well, really? Have you tried to talk to God first? Did you open your heart and let him talk to you? Well, most of the people there tell you, well, not really.
Right.
Well, sitting on a sofa is not, and just let your mind flying, that's not a talking to God.
Yeah, as much as some people want to make it believe like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you got to open the God, heart to God, to Jesus Christ. Let him talk to you. He will tell you. And again, he wants you to be with him. So he will do everything what he can to bring you close to him. Right? And bring you one day, to the heaven. That is, again, that's God's most important thing, what he wants from us. God doesn't care about, our country really much, about society and so on. That's just like what we create ourselves. That's our own creation. That's not a God's creation. God doesn't create the wars, doesn't create different segments of society and poverty.
Right, yeah.
And, that's what we created ourselves. That's our own doing, That's so blaming God. Well, why God allows this and that? Well, hey, we created this mess ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We have to fix this mess ourselves as well. But about the soul, yeah, that is what God wants. Wants soul come freely back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because after all, we have the free will.
Right. And at the end of the day, we are, as you said, the problem is here on this world, right? Which, as we all know, is, not of God's kingdom, right? His kingdom is not of this earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problems that are here, they're of our own doing. And that should, I hope, as it is for me, and I hope as it is for many people, that should be a calling to want to do something, right? That should be motivation to see these problems not as a setback, but as an opportunity that we've been given to actually try to solve those problems ourselves. And of course we can't do everything alone, but together, we can solve these problems in our world one step at a time.
I give you a little story.
Sure, something I guess to end on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little one. Last night, as I told you, I went for the adoration in a church.
Right.
And I was in a church from midnight till 1 o'clock in the morning. And I just spent that 1 hour in a prayer, contemplation, meditating about God, what He wants me to do with my life, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And from the physical point of view, right? I mean, I was tired, really tired, right? Because I had
You went
one
at
day
midnight,
before.
so yeah.
And then I went at midnight when I wanted to go sleep. I had to drive to the church, and then drive back, of course, right? And so from the physical point of view, I should be tired and upset and, depressed and really, like really all the bad stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Feelings.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. I came home and I was, completely at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and again, the peace is state of mind. It's not physical state. It's a spiritual state. And I felt very optimistic, even I didn't know why. I mean, because the soul, my very own soul, given to me by God, from Him, was very close with God this 1 hour when I was praying, and it's slowly kind of getting closer and closer to Him.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, that really brought the peace inside me. You can't even explain it because we can't. We're not going to be able to explain all these things because that's beyond our understanding. Because again, God as a creator, His knowledge is just completely immense. We cannot understand even single percentage the stuff, which God does, right? It's just beyond our capabilities. It's completely useless to think about it, how God is doing. Forget about it. Just God did create you, gave you life, gave you soul. Get close to Him as you can,
right?
While still living your life according to His will. And miracle will happen. Miracle will happen. You will just suddenly feel peace inside you.
Mm-hmm.
All the pessimistic point of views, or the anger, about society, about politics, and depression about people around you and so on, that all is going to disappear. Because at the end, it doesn't really matter at all. It doesn't matter how bad the things are around you. If you do the right thing, you will come back to God. If you will do the right thing.
And that's a pretty good note to end on, I think. That'll be it for this week. In the next episode, we'll talk about the importance of planning ahead and how to apply that to small and large things and aspects in life. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to us and we may answer them in a future episode. We'd appreciate it if you could follow us on all social media. And until next week, thanks for listening. Take care and God bless.
Godspeed.